Welcome to Strong and Steady, where we talk about building strength, supporting your health, and choosing sustainable wellness for women in every season of life.
And I'm Brittany. I'm here with my co-host, Jessica. She's a mom of 4 littles with such a grounded, realistic approach to balance for low-tox living. She helps busy moms build healthy habits that actually work in real life without perfection or overwhelm.
And I'm Jessica, here with Brittany, a woman's health and fitness coach who specializes in elite aging. She helps women build strong bones and muscles so they can live their whole lives to the fullest with confidence, strength, and independence.
And together, we have over 2 decades specializing in the health and fitness industry. So whether you're in the thick of young motherhood
or focused on staying strong for the long run,
we are so glad you're here. Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Strong and Steady podcast. We are so happy that you are here listening with us today. And we have a fun special episode for y'all today. If you know us, but you don't know us, then here's your chance to not just get to know us, but actually kind of understand why we're a little bit crazy on the crazy side of scrunchy, maybe a little bit of conspiracy. I know I'm on that spectrum, all of the things. And so I'm just going to kick us off. But Jessica, let me just ask you, what was your starting point when you were like, oh my gosh, I should probably get healthy? Or what was that little glimmer of hope back in the day when you were like, oh, hey, I need to get healthy?
Yeah, so for me, it wasn't necessarily a moment of like, oh, I've been living unhealthy, I need to live healthy. It was more of I found a business I wanted to partner with, and they were in the health and wellness industry. So I was like, guess that's what I'm doing now. And through that, just kind of learning more about health. But even leading up to that, as I was 17 years old, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So there was stuff that started changing then. I was a huge soda drinker. I remember one time in middle school, it was Father's Day or, one of those big, let's have a cookout days. And I had 7 sodas in one day, insane amount. And by the time my mom realized how many, she's like, you are way past done. No, that was not okay. And then even the week before I was diagnosed, again, it was Father's Day, and we went out to eat, and I had 3 glasses of soda, and we were very surprised that did not put me in the hospital. But just kind of that was my first question when I was diagnosed. I had 2 questions for them. I said, can I still drink my Pepsi, and can I have kids? And they were kind of like, the Pepsi, you might not want to. And so, but between that and then a couple years after that, my now husband and I started dating, and he was the health one of us. He's like, let's eat the fish. I'm like, give me the nice big steak. I can eat steak every single day. He's like, we need a variety. We need, some greens in your meal. I'm like, steak and potatoes. I'm good with that. And so just as we were dating, kind of learning more from him, and again, he was still is very much health mindset, what can we do to help our bodies to prepare them, that preventative care for as we get older, what can we do now to help our bodies then? And so it was that. And then I started the business. And so kind of all of that came together to kick it off. And then again, too, kids was probably the next big step, having the kids. Our oldest was born a month and a half before COVID hit. And so, between all of that going on, starting to learn more, eyes getting open, like you were saying, conspiracy a bit, eyes getting open to some stuff, and just learning more about health, and not necessarily health with food and supplements, but also just our environment. And that's kind of where our low-tox living side came in as well. But how about for you, Brittany?
Oh, yeah. So way back in the 90s, I'm just kidding. Yeah, but seriously. It was honestly my story starts more with my mom. I remember we were living in Alpine, Texas. It's in the boonies. It's 2 hours from Odessa, and if you don't know Odessa, you're lucky. But it's flat and it's ugly, but Alpine is nice and it's pretty and it's way, way West Texas. And I just remember my mom, she was so sick. So when she when she was pregnant with me, she had like a box of donuts a day. She would eat half a cake. Like she would give everybody their slice of cake, their little sliver of cake, and then she would eat the rest of it. So she was like a sugarholic. And and she will tell you, she's like, I was addicted to it more than
Mhm.
any alcoholic would be addicted to alcohol. And so, but she was so sick. And I just remember one time, like she was so sick, and I just remember going into the bathroom and like, Mommy, are you okay? You know, like what's going on? And she had just prayed and she was like, Lord, she was like, if you don't heal me, just take me home. She's like, I can't live like this. Like this is
Mm.
miserable. And then God put some people in her lives and they started asking her about candida overgrowth. And they're like, hey, have you ever heard of candida overgrowth? And you know, back in the 90s, like this was very
That
like
was not a thing.
basic. It was not a thing back then. And so she started reading about it. She started um doing like she like basically cut everything out. Like all she had, so she had no gluten, no sugar, no dairy, so she was literally eating like vegetables and meat. Like I remember just growing up. And then and we had moved to Odessa by that time. And so, you know, we're going into the health food store and I kind of knew like, okay, we're gonna home make everything. Also, disclaimer, we're also very poor. um, we were a homeschool family, living off of one paycheck. And so my mom, she homemade like everything. Like, you know, and it was great. And I have to say I'm so thankful for that because that made us very um I guess you could say like I don't know, where we can just take practically like any type of food. Like my dad is very good about this and he can take any food and make it into a meal. And I'm like, praise the Lord. And
Mhm.
so so that has really helped. But and then, so I actually started having, I guess you could say, like knee issues when I was like 2 years old, where I would just wake up in the middle of the night screaming, crying because my knees were so inflamed. Like it just felt like they were just burning.
Mm.
And went to countless doctors, had blood work. Like I was playing basketball one time for upwards. And then we had to go to the hospital right after. And I just remember them doing blood work. And they're like, look, I'm sorry, I don't know what's wrong with your daughter, and then sent to specialists, sent to a cancer doctor, and nothing. Like they were like, look, I'm sorry, I don't know why your knees are hurting every single day, but there's nothing you can do about it. Basically, is what it is. Like, we don't know what it is. Nothing is showing on the x-rays, the MRIs, the nothing. And so, and then also my dad had this, and then his mom had this issue. So it was like, oh, it's just hereditary. Like,
Mm.
not a I don't wanna say not a big deal, but it's just like, just live with it.
It
And
is what it is.
so yeah, exactly, like, you're gonna live with this the rest of your life, and I'm like, "I've lived with this since I was 2, this is miserable." So, I guess it was about, like, high school and stuff, and I had, like, chronic, sinus infections, like, I had bronchitis one time, and it just would not go away, and granted, my mom, she had been eating healthy since the '90s and, you know, had this knowledge about candida overgrowth and everything, and then, so we found out of like, oh, I need to be drinking water. I need to be, you know, exercising. I need to be doing this. And so, yeah. And so my mom, like I said, I got bronchitis, could not get rid of it whatsoever. I was like, this is miserable. Every time the wind blew the wrong way, I was sick.
Mm.
And so my mom was like, okay, for a month, you and I are going to cut out dairy and gluten and sugar. You're not going to have any of that for a month, and if you feel better, then keep doing it. If you don't feel better, then go back. And so I was like, okay, I can do this. Um, and so my mom and I literally for a month did gluten, dairy, and sugar free. And I was like, oh, I'm not sick. The wind blew and I did not get a sinus infection. And after that, I was like, okay, mom, you're right. You were right. And so that's kind of like what had started for me. And also this is kind of funny though, because I hate math with a passion and I married a math teacher, but it was not my strong suit. And then I also wasn't like the biggest fan of like science. Like I really don't like learning about birds. I'm like, that's not going to help me in life. It's just not. So my mom had said, okay, you can pick your science, like what type of science you want to do. So I found this nutrition science book and everything. And so I started reading that and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like this is this is why I've had so many issues. I don't do this and I don't do that." And it was funny because it was like now my mom and I were like teaming up together trying to get my dad healthy, my grandma healthy, my brother healthy, and my sister. And didn't completely work, but um yeah, so that's long story or long story long. Sorry about that.
You're, yeah, you're talking about like the sugar addiction that you were saying your mom had, and yeah, I definitely had that growing up. So I remember it's ironic now, but growing up, my mom was always like, you're gonna be a diabetic if you keep eating this much sugar. And back then, like we honestly we didn't know the difference. We didn't fully understand the difference between type 1 and type 2. She knew a little bit of it. She had a cousin with type 1, but we still as even nowadays, many people say diabetic, you just think, oh, you ate too much sugar, which different story in and of itself. But so she would say that to me growing up. She's like, you're going to be a diabetic if you keep eating this much sugar. I'm like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. And I still remember I was probably third or fourth grade. It was one Wednesday night after Awana. She had a friend who they helped run Awana together, and she was a type 1 diabetic. She goes, we're going in the bathroom, we're gonna test your blood sugar. And I hate needles. Like, I was still 17, 18 years old crying that I had to go get a blood drawn. And my mom's like, you have a boyfriend now. You got to knock this off. She's like, Spencer, I'm sending you with her so she won't cry. I'm like, doesn't quite work that way. But, anyways. And so, third or fourth grade, they bring me in the bathroom. They're like, it's just a quick finger prick. I'm like, this is not happening. And I find it funny. They go, we'll give you a Snickers bar or a piece of candy if you just let us do this. I'm like, so you're testing me to see if I eat too much sugar and you're offering me sugar. But at the same time, there was no other way I was doing it. So I remember they pricked my finger. I immediately shoved it under the cold water and they're like, oh, we didn't get enough blood. So they had to like re-get it back out. Anyways, turned out I was fine. They're like, nope, no, like your blood sugar's normal. And then it was about 10 years later when I was diagnosed. But yeah, I always found that funny. My mom's like, you're gonna be a diabetic. And it was that mother's intuition that yeah, she was right about that.
Yeah, yeah, man, I know. I love how she's like, "Yeah, you're going to do that."
Mhm.
And being a mom now, it's like, "Yeah, we are always right." I'm just saying. And
Mhm.
there's a movie like Meet the Robinsons and there's a line
Mhm.
that the mom's like, "Even when I'm wrong, I'm right." And it's
Yep.
like, "Yep, yep, that's
Yep.
very
That's
true."
so true.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So how has like on your health journey and everything, what has really made the difference as far as like your nutrition goes? I know you're really into gut health, but how has that helped you go from, I guess you could say, like a struggling diabetic to a thriving?
Yeah. I mean, so when I was diagnosed, I say we, like it was me and my parents, especially in the beginning, had to learn. Like, I was the person, I had never looked at a nutrition label. Like, all the time people were like, oh, how many calories are in that? I'm like, I don't care. Give it to me. I'm going to eat it anyways. And so having to like stop and like start looking, we specifically were looking at carbs and just like learning how to do all of that. And very early on, like my parents helped in the beginning, but it was my senior year of high school and I knew I was going away for college. I was the one, I was like, I love you all, but I'm going away for college. So they're like, you have to learn to do this. And like so learning to start reading like the nutrition facts. And again, I was mostly focused on carbs, but over the years and as I've started learning more about it, we're starting to look more at like the ingredients in them and like what are these ingredients? How are they going to affect me? Especially now, how are they going to affect the kids? Like, because we're wanting to be putting that nutrition in our body to fuel it. And like we've been saying, not just for now, but for the future too. Like a lot that we do now is that preventative health for the future. And so, um, just kind of like doing some research, circling myself with people who know, like you. I'm texting you constantly, going, "Hey, like I got this question, I got that question." Even my husband Spencer, like there's times I love him. He goes, "Oh, you shouldn't be eating that." I'm like, "No, no, no, we're fine." And then like a month later, I'm like, oh, hey, we shouldn't be eating that. He's like, I just told you that. I'm like, well, but now I understand why I'm that person. And so, like, just being able to kind of learn more about it, learn the research behind some of it, and, just seeing what's going to help our bodies and what's not benefic, I cannot say that right now. Benefiting, that's the word, benefiting our bodies. It's a day to day.
Right. Well, and I always think of that verse. It's like that Paul says everything is permissible, but not everything is
Mm-hmm.
beneficial. And it's so true. And and he was literally talking about food. And yeah, we're not having food that is sacrificed to idols and everything, but it's food that is not helping us live our best lives, and it's funny because I personally, I used to think calories in, calories out type of a person. Like when I had first started, I had my fitness pal, and when I put in eggs that I had for breakfast, they were like, "Oh, that's not a good food, that's high cholesterol." And I'm like, "Yeah, uh-huh." And I'm like, "What are you? What do you mean?" And so it was like, but I would like put it in, and then it would say, "Hey, you can eat this more many more calories." And so I'd go run on the treadmill. But then even past that, I started counting macros and I had seen amazing results from it, but I was still having like the Quest bars and the sucralose, like zero
Mm-hmm.
sugar or sugar free. And even though I was at my skinniest weight, and like I was building the muscle, I was losing the fat, I was doing all that stuff, I was still exhausted all the time. My acne was horrible, like absolutely horrible. And and then but my friend Kim, she had approached me. She was like, "Hey, Brittany, you should seriously like look into gut health." And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll take a probiotic, like my mom takes a probiotic, sure."
Mm-hmm.
And but I didn't realize like how much that was correlated to everything, because to be honest, like when you're in your teens and your 20s, you can get away with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And then like with how you're eating, you can have yes, now granted, you can count Lucky Charms into your macros. I get it. I've done things where I'm like, we're going out for dinner or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna count this into my macro. So I'm not going to eat so much during the day, and then I'm gonna have it, at dinner or whatever for a special occasion. But there's so many things, like let's say like the seed oils. Like if we go to Texas Roadhouse, well, they cook all their stuff in seed oils, and those seed oils have been proven to hurt your cardiovascular and your heart health. And so it can cause heart disease, and it causes inflammation. And so it's like, yeah, sure, it's fitting into my calories, but really, what is it doing on the cellular level? Like, what is it doing to to my cells? Is it damaging them? Is it hurting my gut microbiome? Like now, the other day, like we don't really ever eat out, but we had eaten out the other day, and I know that it was cooked in canola oil. And it's funny though, because it's like the longer that I have gone without having seed oils, when I do have them, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can feel it. Like you just feel heavier and you feel a little bit more inflamed, and your tummy just doesn't feel like the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not feeling like it's supposed to. And so it's not just, diet and exercise, but it truly is about getting to the root of the problem. And I've heard this saying, but it's like getting back to the garden.
Yeah.
We can't live completely organic. Like I cannot afford to buy everything organic, and I have a black thumb, and so I
Same.
don't have a garden yet. And I would love to. I would absolutely love to. And eventually that is a goal. But right now in my season of life, I cannot have a garden at all. Like I
Yeah.
don't have the time for it. But there's certain ways that we can get back to the Garden of Eden. It's like that's how God started this earth, and it was healing, and it was you connected with God. And so that's how our diets need to be. That's how our environment needs to be, is just getting that peace and that I guess connection with God and everything. And how that correlates to our food is like, you can't be the best version of yourself. And also, like, dyes can alter your brain chemistry. There are certain things that food seriously alters your brain chemistry. And so how can we have this really good connection with God if we are literally junking up our bodies that he is residing in?
Yeah, and I think one thing that's kind of been cool about being on this journey almost a little bit later in life is like, and as our kids are growing up, is we're able to take them on the journey with us. Like, we're not to that point where, like, okay, we know all this research. Like, we're just saying, oh, eat this because it's good for you. But like, being able to stop and explain it to the kids, and especially like our oldest, he is, I mean, they're all sponges, but like, he really wants to know why. Like, he is very much into that. He's the one, he has all the seeds ready for our garden to go. Him and my husband found, I guess, our library, a local library. You can do a seed swap, or I don't even know, but they've got the flyer hanging it up. Like, they are ready to go make our garden, which is so cool. But like, as we're doing this, he will say, well, why can't we eat that? Or why don't we eat that? Why do they eat it, but we don't? And we're able to stop and explain it to them. And I mean, no, we're not going into all the science. He's 6 years old. We have 6'5", almost 4. And so, like, we're not going into the nitty gritty, but we are able to say, like, this is hurting our body. Like, there's been times where he did have to, I say, okay, you remember that time you ate it and you felt like this? That's why we don't do it, because, like, we want to feel good. We want to fuel our bodies. We're trying to put this energy into our bodies and fuel our bodies. And they've said that to us before too. Like, they'll be eating something or like about to eat something. They're like, "Mommy, will this fuel our bodies? Like, is this helping our bodies?" And just like being able to be on this journey with them it's been really cool because, like I said, growing up, I was not the one who cared about any of that. I was the one who, oh, I'm going to go run on the treadmill so I can eat the ice cream. But also, if I don't run on the treadmill, I'm still eating the ice cream. So it really doesn't matter to me. Like, and so, but like just being able to explain that to them, we're talking with them about like, broccoli. Broccoli helps you build your muscles. Like, we're eating this food to help, fuel our minds, and different things like that has been, yeah, really cool. Like I said.
Yeah. Well, and I love the kids' little brains, like they want to learn. And I just remember like I would be so tired when I was doing school. And then I had gotten that nutrition book for science, and I was learning about brain health and about how chia seeds and blueberries are full of antioxidants, and you need to eat your berries, and like how if you eat your berries before you study, and how you need water, be drinking lots of water because your brain is made up of water, and how being dehydrated can affect your cognitive function. And I was like, and because I knew that and I knew the reason why, I was like, oh, okay, I can do this. And so literally for years before I would like go and study, I'd eat some blueberries and drink my water. And the cool thing is that it's like just because your health journey isn't perfect, or you're still working on it, or you're trying to start, or you're wanting to start for your kids because you want to be there for your kids and your grandkids and your great grandkids.
Hmm.
It's it doesn't matter when you start, just start now. Do something now, because your kids deserve the best version of you. Your family deserves the best version of you, and it's going to be imperfect, because the thing is that science comes out every single day. Like, y'all, when I was eating Quest bars, that was a lot better alternative than what I used to do. and and then now I know better, and so then I do something else. And there's always, your health is always evolving, because what worked in your 20s isn't going to work in your 40s, and what worked in your 40s is not going to work in your 70s.
Yeah. Yeah, and you had said earlier too, like our teens and in our 20s, like our metabolism is different. And I remember like people would always tell me like, "Oh, like you can eat, your metabolism, you're staying skinny, blah 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 blah." And they're like, "Just wait till it catches up to you." And I was very much that mindset of hasn't caught up to me yet, so I can still be eating it right now. And now I look back, I'm like, "Oh, not quite the right mindset," but like being able to take that and, use that as a teaching tool, like especially for our kids, like, yeah, what we're doing now will impact our future. I mean, my grandpa, He just yesterday celebrated his 90th birthday, and we counted, well, we kind of lost track, about 20 great grandkids that he's been able to meet. And, you know, 90 years old, like that's incredible. He's still up walking around. He still goes on cruises. Like he's still a
That's
very able
awesome.
body. He drives around like just, and that's something like we look up to, and we're like, we want to be able to do that. We want to be here when we're 90, but be here and be healthy too.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't just wanna be that person that's like, who are you again?"
Yeah.
But, yeah, and, like, be up and about, and
Mhm.
it's funny though, because like, I'll post on my Instagram because I have this program, and it is tailored towards women who want to age strong, and to not sit life on the sidelines and everything,
Mhm.
and it's funny though, because it's like watching grandparents' health and watching great grandparents' health, and I've gone to nursing homes, and the sad thing is like, you're having someone else wipe your butt, and you're having someone help you go to the bathroom, pull you off the toilet, and I'm just thinking in the back of my mind, like, I am going to do everything in my power to make sure that that does not happen.
Yeah.
Like, I do not want to do that.
Mhm.
But it starts now. And we talk about like bone density, where it's like people are like, oh, doctors, you go in at 70, you're like, oh, you got osteoporosis. And then you're like,
Mhm.
okay, like it just magically appears. It's like, no, it actually started in your 30s and 40s with your hormones. So yeah, there's that whole other thing.
Yeah. So you just touched on it a little bit, but I'm curious kind of what got you started, like motivated getting your elite aging group. Like what's kind of the story behind that and what kind of kicked it off?
Yeah, so I've been a personal trainer since I was like 17, 18 years old. I got into CrossFit, and I just loved it. I loved lifting weights and stuff. Well, and then I started getting a lot of like elderly clients because where I lived was like a retirement town. And I have to say, I loved every single one of them. They were absolutely my favorite people. And so I started like doing CrossFit with them, obviously, to their abilities. They're not doing snatch, they're not doing handstand push-ups. Um, and I just saw how like empowering it was to them. And they were like, oh my gosh, Brittany, like I have never felt better. I've never felt stronger. I can actually lift my grandkid off the floor. I can
Aw.
reach that thing off the top shelf. And then some of the ladies, they were like, I carried my own groceries in today and I was not winded. And it was just awesome. Like I love seeing that. And so I started specializing in aging fitness and like corrective fitness because it's like they would be like, oh hey, I have this problem with my back, I have this problem with my knee, my shoulder. And so I started doing certifications in corrective fitness and nutrition. And then I had one guy, I had a client, he had dementia. And in the difference of seeing him at first where he could barely remember like anything, like it was so far gone, I guess you could say, that it was like he never remembered my name. And I would literally have to tell him, like, okay, do your squat. You're going to come up. And I literally had to show him every single time that we did something. Cause I would like be
Mm.
like, okay, we're going to do squats. We're going to do push ups, and then so we do squats and push-ups. Well, I would show him how to do the squats. And then I'm like, okay, then I show him how to do the push-ups. We'd go back to the squats, show him all over again. And because he could just not remember. And I had learned that exercise actually can help reverse dementia.
Hmm.
And so just seeing him from when we started to when we ended, because that little tiny town had a hurricane that was
Oh,
really bad. And so that kind of like discombobulated everybody.
oh.
And but seeing how his mind had started remembering things to where I wasn't having to remind him every single time, hey, this is how you do a squat, this is how you do a push-up. And there were just like little things like that. And then my grandma, she had been diagnosed with like autoimmune. And also after that same hurricane, I started teaching silver sneakers. And I was like, this is great. Like they love this and they need the community. They need this strength training. But I felt like they needed a little bit more. And sometimes, like, don't get me wrong, silver sneakers is perfect for people who have been sedentary. Like you do need those chair exercises, but if you want to build up a little bit more, we can do compound movements, and literally building up, doing it where you're at, and then literally what transfer, like what you what you do in the gym has to transfer into everyday life. Um, so you think about a deadlift, you're picking up your grandkid, you're picking up your groceries, you're doing a farmer's carry, you're carrying your groceries inside. And then so my grandma, she had been diagnosed with osteoporosis and so many other autoimmune diseases. And I saw, and she just was defeated. She
Mm.
literally was like, okay, I'm just gonna sit. And one time she had gotten up, um, fell, broke her hip. And then so I'm going and visiting her in the hospital, and I was like, so grandma, are you gonna exercise now? Like, what are you gonna do now? And she goes, I'm a sit. And I'm just like,
Oh.
that's exactly what she has done, and I love my grandma to death. I love her to death. Like, she is one of the strongest, best ladies I have ever met, but she's very stubborn, and sometimes that's in the wrong way. Oh, when it comes to exercise and, like, you make her, like, do 2 leg lifts, and she's like, "You made me do something." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's called not sitting."
Yeah.
And, and then my mom, she has osteopenia, which is like pre-osteoporosis, and she was starting to get some like degenerative back disease in her lower back. And so so she watched my grandma decline. She's watched my great grandma decline. And she calls me and she was like, "What do I do, Brittany?" She's like, "I'm not doing this. I'm not just sitting and waiting to die." And I'm like, she's like, "I have grandkids. I have y'all. I have mission work that I want to do. We're not doing this. What do I need to do?" And so then I was like, "Okay, well, you do this, this, and this." And that's kind of like it. And I was like, well, more women need this because I've had so many clients where they're like, I don't want to end up like that. And it's like we love our parents, but we don't want to end up decrepit and
Mhm.
literally having to rely on people to take you to the bathroom.
Mhm.
And so elite is not that's not the part of like doing snatch, doing handstand walks, doing all the crazy stuff, but literally aging to where you are not sitting life on the sidelines, to where you are
Mhm.
strong and independent and having that independence for as long as possible. And there's a movie that I always think of, and this is like my life motto probably. But it's Secondhand Lions, and and it's these two old men, and they have like so much money, and they're buying stuff left and right. They had made a cornfield, they bought a lion. Like, it's a hilarious movie. You have to watch it. But their thing is they want to die with their boots on. And I'm like, that's me. That's what I want to do.
Mhm.
Like, I do not want to just retire and sit out and wait to die. Because the thing is, like, God put you on this earth for a reason.
Mhm.
And he is not taking you off of this earth until he's done with you. And it's not the fact that we're not going to hear, well done, my good and faithful servant. But I don't want to hear, you could have done a little more. Like, I gave you this much more
Yeah.
lifespan. Why did you not do it? Why did you waste it? And that's just kind of, I guess you could say, like my motivation behind it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, as you were talking, I was thinking of my grandma, like, she literally did die with her boots on, but in that too, she was not healthy. I mean, they had just stepped onto a cruise and end up pulling off, but she had so many health issues and also, like, thinking as the family, we literally were living with it could be any day now. Like, she was up, she was doing stuff, she was driving, but we still knew she was just so frail that really anything and that's exactly what it was, and, like, not wanting to live that way, not wanting our kids to think, like, "Is it gonna be today? Is it gonna be today? Like, when is it gonna happen?" And just like you were saying, living strong and being able to, be capable and be healthy in that capability as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, but so yeah, that's a little bit more of our stories. I know we'll be sharing more, as we continue this podcast. But we just want to share a little bit of kind of our backstories and what got us started, a little more about our passions. And so thanks for tuning in. If you aren't following us yet on Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, Apple, we'd love for you to go and hit subscribe. That also not only does it just help keep you updated, getting notifications when our new episodes drops, our podcast, we throw tips out, motivation, sometimes workouts, sometimes just some funny stuff going on too. But it helps our podcast as well. And so we are very grateful if you go and hit subscribe, leave us a comment, leave us a rating. But yeah, that's all for now. And so we will see you next week. Bye. We want to leave you with one last thought from Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. If this episode resonated with you, we'd love for you to come hang out with us over on Instagram. You can find us at The Strong and Steady. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe and share this episode with a friend. We'll see you next time on Strong and Steady.